Erin the Tacky Painter, and today we're going to paint this rainbow giraffe. If you enjoy painting this with me, feel free to click the thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my channel and click the bell to be notified when I add new videos. Now let's get tacky. There will be a list of the materials as well as the paint colors in the description below. And there'll also be a link to the traceable and my website. This right here is a bright brush, just a medium bright brush. I'm going to get it ready to go by dipping it in the water and then wiping it off on my rag. The colors that I'm using are Napthol Crimson, Cad Orange Hue, Cad Yellow Medium, Phalo Green, Phalo Blue, and Dioxazine Purple. I'll also be using Titanium White and Mars Black. The traceable, like I said, will be on my website, and I'll show you how to trace that on later after we get the background painted in. I'm using an 8x10 canvas sheet from Frederick's, loading up my red, and I'm going to paint diagonally. I'm going to end up having to do 2 coats because red is really translucent color as well as orange and yellow, so sometimes they require 2 coats. Now I'm grabbing my orange, just going back and forth diagonally. This is going to be my background. The yellow, and the Phalo Green. But like I said, you can use any colors in any order that you want. Just try to relax and breathe and have fun. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Don't worry if it doesn't look like mine. And now the Phalo Blue, I'm just sort of scooping up the color and plopping it on the canvas. I'm not worried about it. Getting a little bit of water on the brush just so the paint flows better. You can use a larger canvas or smaller canvas, whatever you want to paint on. You could paint on a rock if you wanted to. Now the Dioxazine Purple. I know it looks blue on the camera, but it is purple. I'm going to go back to red, so I'm going to rinse off the purple really well because I don't want those colors mixing on my brush. Wiping it off. And now I'm going to get back into my red to start the pattern over again. And now the orange. And you could do horizontal strokes, vertical strokes, whatever. And lastly, the yellow. Now I have to wait for this to dry before I can do anything else, because acrylics you need to let dry before you can do another layer. So I'm rinsing out my brush and wiping it off and setting it aside. Okay, so now that's dry. I put some more red paint on my palette because I'm going to do another layer on top of this just so it makes the colors a little bit brighter. And so you can already tell the difference now. Scooping up some orange. And if I'm going too fast or if you can't keep up, you can always pause. Or if I'm going too slow, you can fast forward. Whatever you need to do to be successful in painting this with me. Now the yellow. And the green. No, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something that you'll enjoy. Now more blue. And purple. And again, I'm going to rinse out my brush before I do the red and wipe it off. Now back into the red. And the orange. And just so the yellow is brighter, I'm going to rinse off that orange so I just have yellow on the brush. And there, the background is done. Alright, now I'm going to show you how I use my traceable. You don't have to use tracing paper for this, you can just use the traceable that you print out. Turn it around and just use regular white chalk and cover all the black with the chalk. So that way when you flip it over and trace it, the chalk will transfer onto your canvas. Right, so now we'll get our canvas and decide what way you want to do it. You can do it vertically, horizontally. I think I'm going to flip mine. I just feel like it'll fit better that way. And more of the color will show through. If I did it that way, it'd just be blue and purple showing through on his spots. And I didn't really want that. I wanted all the colors to show through. You just trace it with a regular pen, ball plate pen, and you flip it. Now more of the colors will show through on his spots. You can tape it down if you want. I'm just going to hold it and carefully trace over all the black. Now, even if you make a mistake here, the chalk will just wipe right off with some water. So you don't really have to worry about it too much. And of course, you can try to draw it in freehand if you want. The picture that I used, I found on Paint My Photo. People upload photos that they want artists to paint, and we could use them royalty free. So that's where I got this picture. And that's everything. There you go. You can see where it transferred over. And that works pretty well. Alright, I've added some white and black to my palette. I've got my smaller bright brush. I'm going to dip it in the water to get it ready. And wipe it off on my rag. And take some white. And I'm going to paint in all around my spots so that the color will show through and my spots will be colorful and everything else will be white. Now I'm using Liquitex Basics paint, which is a student paint, so it might not cover very well if you're using a craft paint or student paint. That just means you'll have to do another coat. And again, you can do this any color that you wanted. I just chose white. So I'm just painting around the spots, breathing and relaxing, not worried about it. If I'm going too fast, remember to pause. You could use a bigger brush if you wanted to. I just wanted to use a smaller brush to get around the spots better. And you could do this with any animal really. A zebra would look cool. Or a cheetah. Again around his ear. And those little knobs on top of his head. Not sure what those are. Take your time to paint this in, you don't have to rush through it. I have to rush through it though because I've got 3 kids that'll be up soon and they won't want me to paint without them. You can put as many or as few spots on him that you'd like. Make it your own. You don't have to copy mine exact. Going around his nostrils now. Now you could do lighter colors in the background and then you could paint this part in black if you wanted to. That might look cool too. And now I'm rinsing the smaller brush off and setting it aside, and then I'm going to grab a bigger bright brush just so it goes a little faster. Grab a scoop of white and just spread it around the canvas. but you can still stick to the smaller brush if that's what you're comfortable with. The brushes that I'm using are black pearl brushes from Silver Brush Company. I like them, but you can use any brush that you want. And he's almost all filled in. He or she, I don't know. Whatever you want. I'm going to rinse off my big brush. And wipe it off and set it aside. Now I've got my smaller bright brush again to do the hairs on his back. Getting my white. Readjusting. And I'm just going to start with a line of his back. And fill in where I need to. Now I've just got water in here, and I'm just going to spray it on my palette to keep my paint from drying, because acrylic paint dries really fast. So now my paint will stay wet longer. It's just plain water that I sprayed on there. Now another line. And come back with some lines just going up and down. And this is how I chose to paint it in. You can paint it in to make it look more realistic if you want. It's whatever your preference is. There's that. Rinsing out my brush. Now I'm going to switch to the black. I'm going to paint in his eye black. You don't have to, you can leave it as it is. This is just what I chose to do. Just reshaping it a little bit. And his nostrils. And his other eye, a little bit of it that you see over there. And a few eyelashes, you don't have to do them. And now I'm going to paint in his mouth, just so you can see it a little bit better. And his jawline. Now I'm seeing if I can paint in anything else black while I have black on my brush. And I've decided to paint in his ear here. But then you'll see I go back and I change my mind. And you can do that with acrylic. If you want to paint over anything, just let it dry first and then paint right over it. There's no worries, no problems. So I tried it this way. I decided I didn't like how that looked, and I went with the white right over it. Now I'm going to do the highlight on his eye. So I'm grabbing some white and just doing a couple strokes. So now his eye looks reflective. Rinsing out my brush. Now, see here, I'm going to paint over that. It's dried now. I don't like it, so I'm grabbing white. My basics white. And I'm just going to paint right over the black. It's dry. Using the edge of my brush to have a little bit more control. More white and painting over the other ear. I like how that looks better, I think. Now, if you decide that you don't like that, you can wait for that to dry and paint over a different color. It's whatever you want. Now I'm going back and touching up some spots that didn't quite cover enough. Like I said, I'm using student paints, so they don't have quite as much pigment as the heavy body professional paints. If that's alright, you just do another layer. Just in a few spots. Pop in the background. She actually did a video with me where we painted trolls together. And you can find that on my channel. Hi. That's Cecilia. Touching up those spots that needed another layer. Just wherever you think. So I want to remind you that there's always something to look forward to, and I look forward to painting with you guys next time. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Anyone who you think would like to paint along with me. And I think that's it. Thanks guys. Bye-bye.